Just take a moment to come up. That's recording started, and I've already taken the sederant for the East Kilbride Area Committee on Tuesday the 14th of June, so I will pass you back to the Chair for today's business.
Thank you very much. Right, first item is item 2, which is the play scheme grant applications. You've all had a chance to read them. Declaration of interest. Do you have any declarations of interest? No? Okay.
Yes, sorry, Chair, I do. Item 2, the coffee and chat group. I'm a member of that group.
Okay, so you leave the meeting, okay?
Problem.
Right, thank you.
Chair, it's Margaret Cooper here. I wasn't here when the sederant was taken.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. I've noted your attendance.
Thank you.
Okay, right, you all had an opportunity to have a look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grants and be quite happy with them. John.
That's why the special needs adventure playground is only getting £400, while all the others are getting £600. Is that all they applied for? Is there a special criteria or a criteria that's used to award these grants? Thanks.
Chair, need to just double check the folder, but I believe that would come under section 3.2. They've probably only got the play scheme grant. It's for the summer period only, and not the extra £100 for the October and Easter periods.
Okay. Anybody else? If we're all happy with that.
Actually, I had my hand up.
Sorry.
I've made a mistake. I'm sorry. Could I come in, please, Chair?
Right, fire away.
It was just to say that I know what why John's raising that, because £400 isn't basically a lot of money at all, and I understand if that's the maximum they can get because of the rules that were previously set. I think it's time now for us to look at the rules. SNAP is a fantastic organisation, as everybody on here will know anyway, but £400 doesn't cover much. I mean, you could be like £500 for hiring a bus for the day, and that's just for one trip. It's a tenner to get a child into the cinema. It's £14 to get them into Edinburgh Zoo. So I understand that the limits have been set, but what I would ask you, Chair, is when were those limits set, and how is it that we go about actually looking to change those limits? And also I understand that if we're changing those limits for our area committee, it will have a knock-on effect on the other area committees, but I definitely think it's something that we need to look at, because most people that run play schemes and the people that run SNAP, they don't get paid any money. They're volunteers. They do it out of their own, the goodness of their own heart, and I think we need to be looking to see what we can do to actually support them more than what we are just now. I'll let you answer, Chair.
Do you want to add anything to this one?
Firstly, if I can just go back and check that application. Yes, they're only looking to fill July just for the summer period. So it's the £400 that's applicable for that. Councillor McAdams, with your point, I'm not actually sure when the limits were set or the procedure behind that. So I'll need to find out and check and come back to you if that's all right.
You quite happy with that, mate?
Chair, subsequently, thank you very much for the information. Can we take it and it goes forward as an action point for it to be looked at, for it could come back to the next committee and tell us what the answer is? Or does a motion need to be done and then voted on to see basically if people would support this being looked at? Because I understand for it to be looked at, it will have a knock-on effect if we were wanting to change it in our committee, that there are other area committees sitting. So how do we take it forward that it's not just me basically making a comment, that gets noted? How is it that it's something that I'm mentioning that gets taken forward, and it means that there's a progress that comes back that either says, here's when it was that that these limits were set, and here's how we go about changing it, and here's what the procedure is, or how do we take it forward, please, Chair?
Just referring back to what's there, I'm not 100% sure, so I'll need to take it back and check, but I'll come back to members on that as soon as I can.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Councillor Cooper.
Who do we get then?
If you're invited to speak.
Councillor Cooper.
Chair, I think that'll be a revenue budget matter, and it probably will require a motion to the council to change it, because it's obviously got a wide-reaching impact on other area committees, and it would be something that councillors would want to maybe discuss before a motion was brought forward on it. It's similar to when I was chairing the rural task group, and we determined that we would allocate the £5,000 from renewable energy funds out to all of the community councils, rather than it just being community councils in the renewable energy fund area. And it went through committee, and I think it might have gone just to the executive. So that might be the route for it, Monique, but it'd be interesting to find out how you go about it.
Thanks, Margaret. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, we'll certainly investigate it. Anybody else?
Oh, it's gone down.
Right, so if we're quite happy as they are, and can we move, Grant?
Yes.
Thanks, Jerry. Okay, thank you very much. Move on to community grants. There are 9. Jerry, you want to excuse yourself if you're not already away? Actually. Right, you've had the opportunity to maybe look through those. Would anybody like to raise and just collect them all collectively?
Councillor Adams has a hand raised.
This is quite awkward, isn't it? I'll get see her next. Monique.
Aye, thanks, Archie. Hold on to bring up my papers again, sorry. It was just to say it's pretty similar to my previous point. I would like this looked at as well. When I was looking at this, I think that the minimum amount that I saw in the 9 of them was 200. Again, it's just like I really feel as if we need to look at this and look at the minimum amount. I didn't have a chance before this meeting, but it just came into my head that we should really, what was the leftover amount in the last term of money that wasn't spent, for the grants at the area committee? I know that money would obviously go into, well, I'm assuming would go into reserves, but what was the fund? What was the amount of funds that was left over that wasn't allocated last time?
Just hold on a second, we'll see if I can find it.
Okay. See where you're looking to. If I could also say that when I was... Could I continue, Chair? Would that be okay?
Yeah, on you go.
It's just because I'm echoing. It was just to say when I was looking... I've got a really bad echo, Chair.
We don't hear it.
Do you not? Oh, in fact, it's gone now. Right, okay, perfect. So it was just to say when I was looking through the other amounts, again, it's just some of them I recognise them, others I'm not. But I'll just go to C, right, and I'll go to the Coffee Chat and Company, the East Kilbride one. So it's a start-up cost, and they've looked for £1,000. The recommendation is 250. If this is a Coffee Chat and Company and it's a start-up cost, £250 doesn't really seem like a lot of money. You couldn't get a website, written for that, even off of the cheapest person. That's a push on social media, would be like £150 or something like that, without anything else. So I just think that also needs looked at, that we need to look at what the minimum amount is, and we need to actually think, is that still relative, is that still a good amount, and it's something that we need to look at. I also didn't understand when it was one of the ones, and it was Hunter Ladies Bowling Club, so it's an annual outing. They've requested £250, but the recommendation is we're only giving them £200. I don't know, just came across a bit mean, to be honest with you. And then when I was looking at the sports club, I mean, it's just like, we all know that we've got an obesity problem. We've got kids with nowhere to go. They're hanging about the streets because there's nothing else that we do, and places to go. And then you've got the East Kilbride Sports Club that are actually looking for equipment. And it's just like, we're only giving them 60% of the equipment. Is that because they've got another grant running? Therefore, even although the eligible amount they need for all of their equipment is 900, that they only actually wanted 540 from us. So I would like you to answer that, and then I would come back, please, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor McAdams, I'll have to come back to you about the leftover amount to clarify that. But to let you know, I'm aware that other area committees have raised the issue about the amounts on the guidance that we've got. So they are looking to convene a meeting with all the area committee chairs and maybe deputies as well to review that and look into it.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. Subsequently, could I come back in then, please?
Okay.
So see for anybody on these amounts that have basically, like, so for instance, what was that last one I looked at? The Hunter Ladies Bowling Club, then, you know, why can we not give them £250? Why are we only giving them 200? That's just one. You know, is there an amendment we can do today that for this coffee, chat and company, the start-up costs, instead of the recommendation being 250, can we give them 500? Like, how do we go about looking at, you know, things like that? Or is there nothing we can do today?
With back to, sorry, the guidance and information though, we've got the guidance is for an annual outing is £200. Outing and entrance fees is £250. So obviously the recommended amounts are going from that. Not sure how much that helps.
Yeah, the Selling says they're working from the older guidance, yeah, which is quite a small amount. But if we start doubling these in the winter, we'll end up running out of money halfway through the year unless it's topped up. So it might be as well if we could even just deal with these grants and then obviously discuss it collectively with all the area committee chairs and see if we should be changing the guides.
Okay, Chair, I would be happy. I'd be happy for that to be the case. That was why I was like the start wondering how much money it was that was actually left over. Because if it ended up there was 10 grand that was left over, that when we actually looked at it, that if we'd actually, like, you know, made it £400 a minimum payment rather than 200, I'd rather that the community groups and appropriate people actually got the funds rather than it just going back into the coffers.
Well, we'll make sure that these matters are brought to the appropriate person's attention.
Much appreciated, Chair. Thank you very much.
Can we just deal with these nine applications as well? David?
I think I'm not sure why this debate's taking place right now, because that's what's not in the paper. There's a bigger issue that needs to be addressed. There's a finite amount of money. There's a finite amount that we can give to organisations. You can cite. We can pick any organisation there and say why they're only getting £50, £100, whatever. There's a formula for getting that, and I would like to have seen added on to that years ago. How many people actually benefit? Because we don't actually look at how many folk are in an organisation or benefit from a trip or a tour or anything. But it's a set criteria. There's a set criteria for a start-up grant, which was just quite clear. I thought it was £200, but maybe it's £250. So any organisation starts up get that, and that's just that, because they've got to be sure it can be running and rather than just flinging money at it at the start. But the other issue about how much we give other groups and organisations needs to be taken in the big picture, because at the end of the day, this area committee's only got a set amount of money to spend on play schemes and on organisations. So we need to make sure that's spread amongst organisations, or we can give one organisation a lot of money and every other organisation nothing. But that needs to be taken away from here, and that's not what's on the paper today.
I would add, Davey, that I've filled in stacks of these over the years. There is a question in it how many kids in a youth club, for instance, benefit from the grant. That question is in the forum. You know, so just relative to that, because it definitely asks how many kids will benefit, or people benefit from the grant. But I mean, it's been these amounts have been there for a number of years, and obviously it doesn't need looked at. So we'll ensure it is. Okay, right, so we've got 9 grants.
Yeah.
Are we quite? Sorry.
Sorry, Councillor Miller would like to speak.
Gladys.
No, I was going to ask, it would be good if we had some information on how long ago these were set, because that might be reflective. That would be interesting too, and it'd probably give us more of an impetus to review them.
Right, yep, we'll make sure we all get that information. Okay.
Can I just... I'm sorry, just to come in again and advise, obviously these are the recommended amounts. You know, it is up to the committee if they would like to review or change those amounts and vote on that.
We all know that, yeah. Right, if we can just deal with the ones we've got in front of us, and we'll make sure that this is looked into and we get the most up-to-date information. Okay, everybody happy? No more hands up? God for that. Right, so we'll just take them all collectively. Quite happy with that? Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Agreed.
Agreed. Whatever. I mean, what do we normally do it? Right, okay, right. If we leave the one that Jerry declared up, is it the coffee chat one? No?
I'm sorry, I've got Councillor Robb's also got
Right,
a
okay.
raise.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's fine. Kirsten, in you come. Wherever you are. There you are.
On mute.
You're on mute.
Sorry, that was for a future item. Just put it on up at the wrong time.
That's okay.
Later on.
So this is the one that Jerry. Yes. Yeah, right. Okay, we'll deal with all of them other than the one that Jerry declared an interest, which is the coffee chat and company. Are we quite happy to accept that?
Chair, why are we voting in all of them apart from the one Jerry declared an interest on?
Good question. I've obviously picked up wrong. Right, okay. Right, excellent. Right, okay. Right, okay. We'll deal with the one that Jerry flagged up was the coffee chat and company, which was a start-up grant, is it? Yeah, £250. Are we quite happy with that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, agreed. Right. Okay, can we bring Jerry back in again?
And she's back.
She's back.
Yep.
Okay. Right, we've already dealt with one application, and if we take the other 8 and a tranche, we're quite happy with that?
Yes,
Okay,
Chair.
thank you very much. Okay, I want to one other matter, which is for noting, which was some grants that were dealt with in the last 3-4 months. You'll see there's a list of them in the back of the last paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are all for noting. Right, is everybody happy with that? Right, I have no other further business. David?
Yeah, just for clarity, Chair, and for future reference, I understand why we're meeting here today in Hamilton, but I've been told after the recess we'll be back in East Kilbride and meeting as an East Kilbride Area Committee in East Kilbride and not in Hamilton. Yeah. Can you make sure that happens?
I'll certainly bring it up. I think we've did it once here. I think it's enough. They need to change it rather than the cost of us bringing us all in here. But
and Councillor Robb has her hand raised again.
If you can get a wee note of that. Okay. Kirsten.
Hello, just to see if it's the appropriate place to bring it up. Just as a kind of newbie question, my background is working with communities and villages and towns to take forward things to rejuvenate their areas as a sort of grassroots, people first kind of development. I'm just wondering, could you update me on what's happening about what forum are there in East Kilbride to rejuvenate our town? Is it the area forum, East Kilbride task force, just to see what sort of collective way we can work together to improve our town from kind of community up?
Right. Okay, do we have a term of reference for this committee? Have you seen the terms of reference for this committee, Kirsten?
I'm not sure if it's in the procedural documents, so I can double check that, but it was just to understand like what our role is and what other roles are and so we can all work together to rejuvenate the town.
I mean, we're obviously working from what were presented on the papers. Several people have said it's a very limited list to the area committee. I'll bring Joe and he wants to have a comment. Joe.
Yeah, obviously the agenda, and I think it just reflects the stage in the cycle, or out with the cycle in which this meeting's taking place. The standard items are this distribution of those grants. However, as the chair will be aware, throughout the year we tend to have presentations, speakers, other items of business in a much additional agenda items other than the kind of standard items that we've just disposed of today. And if I think back, your presentations from the fire service, from the East Kilbride, the town centre, the task force, the police, there have been various sort of presentations, and the Citizens Advice Bureau, there are some suggestions coming from the floor that might not be audible to people joining us at home. So there's a wider agenda, and I think when we get into a full I've made some suggestions actually just today to the chair, which I know have been considered. So there's a wider agenda that is being looked at for the committee. I think for me, if we're going to have area committees, they have to be more than just a place to dispose of the grants. But let's not put useless agenda items bluntly in front of them. Let's put forward something which we can have a meaningful discussion about. And I would hope that that's something that happens over the coming years. The other organisations that you mentioned kind of sit separately, but they have presented to the committee and at various points, and we've had some useful discussions on the back of that over the term that I've been on the council. So I don't know it's answering the whole question, but I thought it might just help in terms of just kind of illustrating some of the committee's business.
Okay. We also get schools, primary schools coming into the area committee as well. Have you seen the terms of reference for this one? If not, I'll give you a copy of it for your interest. But I think you're right. I think the area committee needs to have a bit more meat in the bones of what it's dealing with on behalf of the town. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're used to this yet. I've got no other items of urgent business. So I'd like to thank you all for coming along today. Thank you very much.
Vote of thanks to you, Chair.
Thanks, Chair.